We are rich only through what we give. This line of poetry has been with Share Meals since almost the beginning. It makes sense for who we are. Share Meals empower students to improve their own communities by sharing food, thought, and communication. This line summarizes our core values and reminds us why we continuously choose this fight. But let's begin at the beginning. In 2013, a Facebook page called NYU Secrets let anyone post anonymously to a sprawling audience. It proved therapeutic, so people posted their darkest thoughts, stories of love lost, moments when their faith was resurrected or challenged. NYU Secrets was a drama with 32,000 actors, and so naturally, I was hooked. But there was one post that hit a little bit too close to home. Secret number 1,353 told us how her grandmother gave her $5 McDonald's gift cards every Christmas. She appreciated the gesture more than the money, so she never spent them. Until she got to New York City. At one point, she was starving, behind on tuition, and poorer than she had ever been. When there was nothing else left, she had the gift cards to give her a hot meal. Now, I remember growing up when I had to drink a glass of water instead of having dinner to trick my body into thinking it has already eaten. I just didn't want to be woken up by my own hunger. And reading that secret made me nauseous because it meant that somebody else was about to face the same thing, and I was powerless to fix anything. It was anonymous, so there was no place to send food or money or even good thoughts. So I did the only thing I had the power to do. I created my own Facebook page. I called it NYU Meal Swipes. I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but filling out the forms and clicking a few buttons made me feel good. It was enough to get rid of the guilt. The page sat dormant for 2 months until I saw another post. Secret number 1,881. He had just $25 to live off of for 2 weeks before he could fly home for the summer. And if you do the math, that's less than 60 cents per meal. That sinking, all-consuming nausea started to return. But then, something ridiculously spectacular happened. Students left comments saying they had 3 extra meal swipes, 17 extra, 100 extra meal swipes, and anybody who needed to eat was welcome to them. And that was it. A pernicious problem and a viable solution in the same Facebook thread. See, meal swipes are prepaid, and if you don't use them, they expire at the end of the semester. Year after year, there are stories of students who pay for everyone's orders at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts just because they didn't want their meal plan to go to waste. The only obstacle was execution. For example, if you have 3 extra meal swipes, how do you prevent 300 people from asking for them? How do you figure out the best locations and times to meet? How do you do all of this in a frictionless way? I thought I could solve it with code. And I ran the design through my head, and I had a couple of doubts. With the solution that I came up with, would it be elegant? Would I have the technologies I needed to execute it? Could I learn the technologies? And more importantly, was I ready to be vulnerable? In addition to the risk of failure, which is inherent in everything we do that is worth trying to do, I also faced hate mail and death threats. The NYU Secrets guy himself was anonymous because he faced those things regularly. But I had been sitting on this idea for 2 months. How many more times did I have to listen to somebody going hungry before I decided to do anything? Twice was already once too many. So I glued myself in front of my computer and I refused to leave until I had something that worked. 24 straight hours later, we had this. We can all agree it's pretty ugly. And it was chunky to use, but it worked. Students didn't care about aesthetics because it provided a service they couldn't get elsewhere. Our success was meteoric. In just 7 days, we helped 400 students find a meal. And this is the more beautiful part. We had enough donations to feed 400 more. The work and the risk was worth it. But I knew I could do better. So I spent the summer studying my brains out. I learned about enterprise-level web frameworks. So the same technologies that were powering MIT's and BMW's websites were now powering ours. I learned about the stable marriage algorithm, which is the same thing that's being used to match medical students with residency programs. Finally, I recalled the entire thing as share meals, so it could be used by any campus, regardless of if they had swipes or sandwiches. We started with a passion, and now we had the technology to back it up. This is what it looks like today. It runs pretty well, but after 2 years, one major flaw began to show. It could take a student up to 24 hours before they find a meal swipe. It sort of makes sense. Our algorithm wants to make sure that the matches it makes are the best ones possible. But the thing about hunger is it doesn't care about optimality, and it certainly hates to wait. So this is what we have proposed for our next iteration. This is a mobile app that works in real time. It uses your current location to figure out any opportunities for free food that are near you. Just like before, you can get a meal swipe from a fellow student, but it also integrates club and university events, which often serve refreshments. The idea is, at a glance, you can tell if there's a chance to eat wherever you are. We hope to roll this out internationally. Share Meals has also been exploring other initiatives in search for a long-term solution to hunger. We're currently running a food insecurity survey that's modeled after the USDA's official survey themselves. We came across a couple of interesting statistics. 59% of students couldn't afford a balanced meal. 13% went entire days without eating. Let's try to put that last number into context. Can I ask everybody to shake hands with everyone who's within arm's distance? Turn around, make friends, shake hands. All right. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Doing well, can't complain. Now imagine if one of those people, and you don't know who, won't eat until tomorrow morning. That is a reality in our classrooms. Another survey assessed how much students were leaving left over on their meal plans. We took swipes, converted them to calories, and then compared that to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's 4,000 calorie a day diet. This student could feed a professional wrestler for 37 days with what was left on her meal plan. In more serious terms, among the 500 students we asked, we found $400,000 of food purchasing power was left unused. Share Meals takes this data and brings it to the administration to advocate for better food security policies. We host open kitchens, which are hands-on community cooking classes. We teach students, many of whom are living on their own for the first time, how to make healthy, affordable meals. And after we cook together, we eat together. These photos are from last year, and NYU will be hosting our second open kitchen on Monday, actually. We hope to make this a tradition. There's one more side of the story that I want to talk about. For as much as Share Meals has given its students, it has given its volunteers so much more. Nope. There we go. This is Jimmy Kemp, club president of the NYU chapter. Before he jumped on board, he wanted a simple life. He wanted to find a middle management job at some decent company, put in his 8 hours, maybe go to karaoke on the weekend. But now, he's committed to making Share Meals a nonprofit. This photo is taken at the United Nations. Collectively, Jimmy and I had been living in New York City for 40 years, and we had never stepped inside of the UN until this day. They were holding a conference on how to end global hunger. In fact, Jimmy has been accepted to the UN Millennium Campus Conference in Washington, D.C. He'll be presenting on Share Meals. And then there's my story. In addition to all the skills that I have learned and all the people that I have met, Share Meals has given me a purpose to get out of bed in the morning. And that phrase probably means more than you think it does. A year and a half ago, I had a transient ischemic stroke. For whatever reason, a part of my brain stopped receiving oxygen. My motor control returned in a matter of days, but a heavier loss was my language skills. Holding a simple conversation proved to be difficult. Finding the right words to say was like fishing in a lake and not getting any bites. And then realizing the lake never had fish to begin with. As a teacher and a poet, it felt like I had lost everything. In the months of recovery, my bed was both my best friend and my worst enemy. It made me feel safe, but I definitely wasn't going to get better. The only thing that got me out was knowing I still had work to do, that there were people other than me that needed help. I guess it all goes back to poetry. We are rich only through what we give. We've seen it before. We know that an earthquake or a tsunami can wipe out our homes. We know that a poor economy can end our careers. A simple lapse of oxygen can wipe out our sense of self. But if we devote ourselves to others, if we work in the service of others, it won't matter. The people around us will continuously make us rich. For my team and me, fighting hunger gave us a purpose. It made us stronger, better versions of ourselves. And if that sounds like something you're looking for, then the good news is, it's really easy. Talk to the people around you, to your friends, to strangers. Ask them, what are your biggest problems? And how can I solve them for you? Thank you.